and I ain't break a sweat. Homie talking shit, then I'ma f him up and break his neck.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of My Morning Thought. And what we got is a lot to unfurl that I can't even name a little description here. Except for there's a lot of Donald Trump, so a lot of orange. And probably by the time this video hits, he'll probably undo a lot of what he did. I bet you any money those tariffs get rolled back. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and on with the show. Oh, didn't see you come in there. On January 20, shortly after taking the oath of office, Donald Trump unleashed a bold move that made even his staunchest supporters raise an eyebrow. A sweeping 90-day freeze on most U.S. foreign assistance disbursed through the State Department. It was a decision that not only sent shockwaves through the international community, but also left the aid organizations scrambling like they were late for a board meeting. Let's be clear, the U.S. is the largest source of foreign assistance in the world. It's like being the big kid on the playground who always shares his ball until he decides to take it home. With this freeze, Trump effectively halted thousands of humanitarian development and security programs worldwide, forcing organizations to cut back on staff like a CEO trimming the fat during a budget crisis. But let's not forget the context. This wasn't just a random corporate decision. It was a part of a larger strategy, to deter illegal immigration, an issue that has vexed politicians for decades, with countries in Latin America suffering from political and economic turmoil. Aid to the region has long been a priority for both sides, Democrats and Republicans. After all, what's the point of having a backyard when your neighbors are throwing block parties every other week and you're not invited? It's kind of cruel. Now stepping into the spotlight is a Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who appears to be on a diplomatic tour that resembles a vacation itinerary rather than a serious foreign policy mission. His visit to Panama, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic could be seen as an attempt to reassure our neighbors that despite the aid freeze, they're not completely forgotten. Hey, don't worry.
We'll be your friends.
We're still good neighbors, right?
But not right.
Right? They had to let go of their doctor, social worker, and child psychologist. Imagine running a shelter for migrants without a doctor. It's like running a fast food joint without a fryer. The shelter's pleas for alternative funding are met with the same level of an urgency of an overcooked Big Mac. And let's not ignore the plight of the LGBTQ youth caught in this mess. Just when they were about to receive so much needed support from the Human Rights Center at UC Berkeley, they were handed a stop work order that could make a corporate executive weep. No time to secure other funding. They lamented it's as if Trump looked at the vulnerable communities and thought, why not pull the rug out from under them? The irony here is delicious. Trump, a businessman who treats running a country like a bottom-line driven enterprise, seems to forget that diplomacy isn't about maximizing profits or cutting costs. It's about fostering relationships and building trust, something that doesn't happen overnight or with a 90-day freeze. As we sit back and watch this political fiasco theater unfold, one thing is clear. You can't run a democracy like a business. Whether it's foreign aid, international relations, or the fate of millions, treating everything like a boardroom meeting is a surefire way to turn allies into adversaries faster than you can say, make America great again. So here's hoping that next time Trump decides to play CEO of the world, he remembers that compassion and collaboration go a long way in the diplomatic game. Well, it seems that President Donald Trump's disdain for offshore wind projects is catching up with the industry faster than a gust of wind across the open sea. Just last week, in a rather dramatic turn of events, the Atlantic Shores Winds project, a venture that had been sailing smoothly, lost a key investor, Shell, the oil giant that had thrown nearly $1 billion into the project, decided to bail faster than a ship in a storm, writing off a cool $996 million. Talk about a financial iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. Even more curious is the fact that while Trump has been vocal about his concerns that offshore wind farms are responsible for whale deaths, claims that scientists have thoroughly debunked. His orders to halt new permits are indeed sinking the ship of the offshore wind sector. Morningstar senior equity analyst Tancred Philip aptly pointed out that the sector's outlook is very gloomy, and no wonder the winds of change have turned into a tempest, leaving many companies scrambling to keep their sails up. Over in Denmark, Ørsted, a key player in the offshore wind game, has also felt the brunt of these turbulent waters, announcing a leadership shakeup after an 80% drop in share prices since January 2021. Their CEO, Mads Nipper, decided it was best to abandon ship, citing an increasingly challenging situation in the offshore wind industry. But don't fret just yet. Philip reassured us that the already underway projects are still afloat, as construction is just too advanced to just throw in the towel. However, with uncertainty swirling like a rogue wave, the supply chain isn't exactly flourishing. Prysmian, an Italian cable manufacturer, recently scrapped plans for a factory in Massachusetts, proving that the wind industry might be in for a rough ride. Let the rough riders roll. Oh. Despite these headwinds, the American Clean Power Association's Frank Macchiarola, I apologize to you, sir, if I got your name wrong, remains optimistic. He believes that the demand for electricity is set to soar, especially in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions, where offshore wind projects are aiming to take root. After all, even if the winds are temporarily stalled, the need for power will keep blowing strong. So, as we watch the offshore wind sector bob up and down on the waves of Trump's policies and market dynamics, one thing is for sure, we're going to need a whole lot more power. Whew. Well, everybody, the trade war has kicked off with a bang. On Saturday, February 1st, our ever-controversial former and current president, Donald Trump, decided to impose a hefty 25% customs duty on products from our friendly neighbors to the north and to the south, Canada and Mexico. Not forget the cherry on top ice cream. An additional 10% on existing tariffs for our Asian buddy. He claims he's on to a noble quest to combat the nefarious fentanyl trafficking and illegal migration that has been plaguing the United States. Because why not use trade tariffs as a magic wand to solve complex issues? Who needs diplomacy when you can just slap on some tariffs and call it a day? Let's go golfing now. Naturally, our neighbors reacted faster than a cat with a laser pointer with fresh batteries. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, ma'am, I apologize if I mistook your name, was quick to hop on the retaliation train. In a fiery statement, she declared that customs duties would be imposed on American products, but left us hanging without the juicy details. Oh, a cliffhanger if you ever would call it one. If you will. Meanwhile, the Great White North, represented by outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, didn't take this line down. Try to announce a whopping 25% tariff on American products worth a staggering 155 billion Canadian dollars. That's about 102 billion euros for those keeping score. Starting next Tuesday, expect a price hike on everything from bourbon to household appliances and even fruits and plastics. Quote, if President Trump wants to usher in a new if you were planning on enjoying a nice bourbon and barbecue, you might want to reconsider, not punish plastic try-do fashion equipped. Quote, if President Trump wants to usher in a new golden age quietly for the United States, tariffs like confetti, the best way is to partner with us, Canada. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce announced that, ouch, they kicked me in my shin bone. They would take finding measures to resolutely protect their rights and interests. That sounds serious to me, folks. They even declared trade wars have no winners. I suppose they're not fans of everybody loses. Oh, and let's not forget, they're filing a complaint with the World Trade Organization, WTO. Get your popcorn ready, folks. You said, if you can afford it. The agency birthed in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy. Elon Musk, has the billionaire been a cornerstone of American humanitarian the government globally. Musk's declaration came during a late-night announced the imminent closure of the U.S. platform X. With a decisive tone, he stated, "We're shutting it down," raising eyebrows and questions about the legal authority behind such a move. His comments have ignited debates around government structure and the balance of power between executive branch and Congress. The rationale behind Musk's decision seems to stem from a perceived need to streamline government operations, citing USAID as, quote, beyond repair, end quote, and, quote, hopeless, end quote. He expressed frustration with the agency's operations, comparing it to a ball of worms, end quote. His comments reflect a growing sentiment among certain factions of the Republican Party that view federal bureaucracy as an impedance to efficiency and effectiveness. However, this radical shift raises significant concerns. The agency's budget for the 2023 fiscal year was approximately $40 billion, that have historically provided crucial aid to those in dire need around the world. Critics, including Democratic lawmakers and legal experts, warn that dismantling USAID without Congress approval could violate established laws and undermine humanitarian efforts that countless individuals and organizations have come to rely on. Musk's announcement came on the heels of a contentious interaction with USAID security leadership, highlighting tensions between his department and the agency. As federal employees navigate the uncertainty of their roles amidst this upheaval, many are left to wonder, what does this mean for ongoing and future aid initiatives? Well, some lawmakers like Senator Joni Ernst? I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Johnny Ernst have expressed support for Musk's vision. A broader consensus remains elusive. The road ahead is fraught not only legal battles, but also potential repercussions on the ground for those who depend on U.S. aid. In a time when global challenges seem insurmountable, the fate of USAID hangs in a balance, prompting a critical evaluation of how America chooses to wield its influence and compassion in the world. As Musk pushes for an aggressive overhaul, the implications of his vision will resonate far beyond the halls of power, affecting lives across the globe. The coming days will be pivotal in determining the direction of U.S. foreign assistance. In the quaint town of Waukesha, Wisconsin, where winter snow blankets the streets, and laughter and celebrations, one more How would you feel if you're in a school bus and the teacher wouldn't let you off and he said he's God? Well, I'd be a little scared, I think. In the quaint town of Waukesha, Wisconsin, where winter snow blankets the streets as laughter of children fills the air, one would hardly expect a school bus driver to become the center of a gripping tale of drama, despair, and a dash of the bizarre. Enter Walter Cunningham, a man whose career behind the wheel of a yellow bus took a shocking detour into the realm of the strange and the troubled and the twilight zone. The man behind the wheel. Walter Cunningham was not just your average bus driver. He was a fixture in the Waukesha School District, known for his easygoing demeanor and his uncanny ability to make even the most mundane feel like an adventure. Walter was There was a shadow lurking behind that bright yellow facade. Cunningham's past, however, was not all sunshine and rainbows. A longtime resident of Waukesha, he had spent years in various jobs, but it was his role as a school bus driver that seemed to define him. There were whispers among the parents about his struggles with prescription drugs, a dark cloud that had loomed over him for years, quietly but steadily eroding his sanity. The dark side of prescription drugs. Prescription drugs can be a slippery slope for some. They offer relief from pain. For others, they become a crutch that spirals into dependency. Walter Cunningham found himself in the category. Reports alleged that he had been battling addiction, and the medication that once provided solace and relief had transformed him
On what
into
started
a
as
source
an
of
ordinary day
chaos.
for the students
As
on the
friends and
Heartland
family
Lakeside
watched
School
helplessly,
District, things took a
Walter's
drastic turn
behavior
when
became
the bus ride
increasingly
home
erratic,
morphed into a scene
marked by
straight out of a horror
unexplained
movie.
mood swings
Parents
and
were
a
left
growing
horrified
detachment from
as
reality.
details of the incident unfolded in court on January 29th.
The community
This could
was
have
in
been one of the
denial.
greatest tragedies
After all,
in
this
Waukesha
guy
County
was
history,
Walter,
lamented
the guy
Waukesha
who would
County
break into
Commissioner
song,
Chris
on the
Bailey,
bus to
who
entertain
clearly
his young
felt the weight of the
passengers.
situation.
The guy who would
What
always lend a
transpired that
sympathetic
fateful day?
ear to a
According to
child's
parents,
woes
it was an experience that left
or
their
a
children
parent's
screaming
concerns.
to get off the bus.
But as the grip of
Imagine
addiction
a driver
tightened,
under the
his
influence of who
jovial
knows what,
personality
telling frightened
became the
kids
fray,
to shut up while
leading to an
proclaiming,
incident
"I am
that
God"
would
on
make
this bus.
headlines and leave the town reeling.
It's hard to decide what's
harrowing
scarier,
ride,
the reckless
the
behavior
Heartland
or the
bus driver
self-proclaimed
incident
deity status.
that
One
shook
brave student even dialed 911, a move that probably made Cunningham's God complex tremble. Not only did they report the erratic behavior, but they also claimed that the driver had pushed a fellow student. Talk about crossing the line, fella, from a bus driver to a bus tyrant. When the bus finally came to a stop, a concerned parent took the initiative of blocking the bus with his car, demanding his kids be released. I will never forget the look of this little kindergartner. Recounted another parent. The fear he inflicted on innocent children This incident serves as a stark reminder that the world of school transportation is not always as safe as we hope it to be. In the end, while this story may have elements of a nightmare, it's the resilience of the community rushed to the scene inflicted on innocent children. The student, this incident serves as a stark reminder
teary eyes,
that the world of school transportation
and no idea how to get home.
Safe as we hope it.
It was a moment that would haunt any caring
In
parent.
the end, while this story may have elements of a nightmare,
As if the situation
it's the
couldn't get
resilience
any
of the
worse.
community
And the
quick
police
thinking
later
of the
reported
students and
that
parents
Cunningham
that could turn
admitted
this
to
tragedy
mixing
into
multiple
a tale of hope
prescription
and
drugs.
caution.
His
Let's hope
slurred
this serves as a wake-up
speech,
call.
an
For all
unstable
those
balance
responsible
signal
for
that
all our
being behind the
children's
wheel was
while
the last
while
place
they're
he
on the
should
road,
have been.
because when it comes to
Now
young
he
lives,
faces
we
charges
can
that
never
could
be too
land him in
careful.
serious trouble, including
Well, folks, that
operating
does
while
it for this
intoxicated.
episode.
Cunningham is
enjoyed
currently
it,
being held on the
and there'll be
staggering
more
$1
news
million
to come.
cash bond on an appropriate price.
My morning thought has been brought to you by Devil's Backbone Entertainment 2025.